and welcome to another episode of How Are You Holding Up? A mental health podcast by the depressed for the depressed. I'm Lindsey.
And I'm Chris.
And today we have our guest back, new Hologram. We've had her on a couple episodes before. I think it was 41 and 81, I believe. Let me
Yeah.
check. No, 40 and 81. And usually New Hollow is here to talk about chronic illness and depression. And
A lot of it has been coming up much more lately, given the continuing pandemic, but also, real quick, hi, gang. It's been a while. It's been about a month and some change.
yeah, sorry for heading out without much of a goodbye. We had a couple things to deal with and some things to discuss,
hmm
and and we're also in a global pandemic.
Ultimately, we'll discuss probably towards the end of the episode what's going to happen, but I don't know. I personally fell into a really deep dark spiral that I'm still slightly recovering from as we speak. So we'll see. We'll see how I handle it, but that's neither here nor there. New, how are you holding up?
I'm so used to always saying that I'm great because I still kind of have that worry that people will think I'm full of shit when I say I don't feel good all the time. And it's like I'm not okay, but I'm like what's that thing they say about Loki in the Avengers? They say his brain is a bag of cats. That's me. Like I am the sun, I am boiling and burning and I won't stop until I have devoured and disintegrated every molecule of this solar system. And it's like whatever black hole my human soul shot out of in 1989 is trembling. I feel the pain of every human at once and I hate it. But at the same time, stuff is going really well for me personally. So I'm in like parallel universes and it's weird.
The word of the day is ambivalence.
Would you say that physically you're doing how, like on the scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing physically?
Physically, I've been a little bit rough. Summer is always really hard for me. I can't regulate my temperature. It makes everything flare up. I can't sleep well. But also, like, my last infusion has worn off. So, like, my spinal pain is back. And I had a really nasty UTI again. And that just completely kills me. So, like, the
Oof.
past 2 weeks, I was dealing with that. High fevers and horrible, like, pain in my kidneys and, all of that, exhaustion.
Yeah.
So it's just, and it's like, it's nothing new for me, but it's not fun.
And I think that's something that a lot of people, we're all trying to survive. And
Mhm.
one of the things we discussed, I think it was on episode 81, was people who deal with disability, especially hidden disabilities, have kind of almost mentally and physically prepared for such an event because you can't go out and do all the fun things. You can't constantly go out and party and go to festivals and whatnot. And so being alone, being at home and secluded, it was like you had more fortitude emotionally and mentally than a lot of us did.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm so good at taking care of myself and managing myself. And when I do have spirals or like I'm really fucking cranky and depressed or whatever is going on, I'm just really good at holding my umbrella up and getting through the storm. And that's just a skill that I have had to develop in order to survive into um, age 30 now. And now it's frustrating because it's like I want to be patient and tolerant and compassionate with other people who are experiencing this for the first time, but part of me is just like it's really not that hard to stay home. Why can't people just learn to play video games? Why can't they just watch porn? Like, I don't get it. Why do you have to go out? Why do you have to go to the beach? Why do you have to go to a party? Why do you have to go to, I don't understand. Stay home.
Yeah.
Jack off. I don't care. Like, it's not, I don't know. I guess I'm so,
It's frustrating.
um, yeah, I don't know.
It's a skill that you've had to develop. It's something that you had to learn because
And I did it
yeah, and
alone.
you did it without the support really of like a whole you got a whole bunch of people in your life who don't understand and they they didn't try to understand either,
Mm-mm.
which was even more frustrating. So now we're the majority of people, like, I'm by nature extroverted. I don't do well when I'm by myself. I don't do well in isolation, but I still was willing and able to isolate. I don't go out in the
Mhm.
weekend. I don't go out every weekend. I don't go out at all, hardly at all, besides like going to work, coming home, go to work, come home, pick up medication, go home. Like,
Mm.
I don't even go shopping for groceries. I get them delivered with contactless delivery and things like that because I've got a 93-year-old grandmother, and I value her health and her life more than my inability to deal with being by myself and not being surrounded by other human beings, because I'm not a selfish butthole.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's because you care about other people.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, on this
it's
podcast, we definitely want people to nurture themselves and know what the limits are and also take care of one another. So
Mhm.
I think it's what's really interesting for me and a value is to hear um new your experience of like what has, been able to make you so strong and skills that other people can pick up from you. And then seeing Chris, your journey through I think as an extrovert and as somebody who cares deeply about, his fellow man, watching your depression really hit you. And then I think I just feel like an abstract painting. I feel like I'm all
Mhm.
over the place emotionally at once. Just really
Yeah.
disconnected and disjointed.
I was noticing a lot of your kind of general disconnect at times where, it would kind of feel like you were floating through life a little bit. And I would see like this faraway look in your eyes when I would see you. And just like there was a lot going on internally that I felt you were internalizing a majority of, but I didn't want to pry because I know that if it was something that you wanted to discuss, you would discuss with me.
I think one of the big issues that I've had as somebody who's highly sensitive, who's extremely empathetic, and someone who has a hard time with boundaries, though I've gone to therapy and I've read the books and everything, it's still something that I practice daily and have to remind myself of that it has been a struggle to know when to reach out and when and how to process on my own and self-soothe, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like
Mhm.
when is the
Mhm.
appropriate time for each and not take on the world's problems. I mean, so much has happened with a global pandemic, a racial pandemic, if you basically,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
politically, everyone is so separated from one another, and then we can't all be with each other to soothe one another. Um,
There's the big difficulty also is the fact that like we are as Americans seeing the rest of the world recovering now. We're seeing the rest of the world taking steps, taking measures. They're doing things that we are lacking in. And for what feels like probably the first time in a lot of Americans' lives, not not for, those of us who've kind of been paying attention to things or anything like that, but a lot of people are now seeing the man behind the curtain for the first time, and this Wizard of Oz situation that we've all been subjected to, of the American dream, of the idea of freedom and liberty and blah blah blah. They've all been this ridiculous giant-headed green lie
Mhm.
that we are unable to deal with. We're seeing a lot of people getting frustrated, a lot of people getting angry. We're seeing billionaires getting called out, and it's like it's a lot to take in all at once in a time that is already tumultuous, combining with people who are empathetic, combining with people who are already, angry at a lot of things. It's like, guys.
And there is so much anger. There's just so much anger from every political party, from everywhere you look. I mean, we are dealing with a situation where so many people have no money. They don't have a
Mhm.
job. They don't have insurance. I mean, we deal with that. We don't
Yep.
have, I don't have a lot of money and I'm paying tooth and nail just to have insurance so I can go to therapy and get the
Yep.
help I need. It is a really bad time. And then to watch I think one of the biggest slaps in the faces, and I don't know if you guys would agree, was watching how the rich dealt with the pandemic and the quarantine and the, okay, guys, you need to self quarantine. And so they self quarantined on their cruises and they did a big, like, did you see that picture? I think it was posted around of like, we can get through this, but with their yachts, they all like shaped the words of,
I
we're in this together.
I
Okay.
think that was a parody. Admittedly, that was a parody, but it was
But
based
it's
off of
true.
yes,
Like,
oh,
yeah, it's this
100%.
idea of, like, Ellen DeGeneres just being like, "I'm in a prison in my literal mansion on acres and acreages of land and
I
servants
know.
and
Oh, she's
billions of
like, shut
dollars."
up.
And
Yeah,
it's just so frustrating because it's like, we have been told that we live in the greatest country in the world. Now, that may sound naive, but when you grow up with that paradigm constantly nailed into your head, you feel like, well, when shit hits the fan, we will pull together.
yeah.
And that was farthest from the truth. And I know that a lot of people were like, well, this isn't a surprise. But I think for me, it was a surprise how poorly everything has been dealt with. Everything.
Mm.
Mhm. Oh,
And then that's been
absolutely.
really disappointing for me anyway. Like, there's no
We
empathy.
we
I feel like nobody has
worship
empathy. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, we worship things that we made up, and we oh, the rent, the money, and it's like, those aren't real things. I can't go out and touch rent. I can't go out and feel what
Insurance?
money is energetically.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
These are not real things. These are constructs, but we let them rule us to the point where we will let other people die for these fake things. And I'm like, that doesn't make any damn sense. So
It was
stupid.
one thing when bartering and trading was how human beings established worth. My one
Mhm.
chicken is worth your bushel of apples. That kind of thing is like, yeah, there's a lot of
Well, that's physical, that's
ways.
survival
Yeah, yeah.
together with the village. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Like
Community.
the community has been so stripped of us, especially now when we are all having to isolate. We're trying
You're
our
so
best
right.
to
Mhm.
maintain some form of community by going online. Well, what else is online? There's a lot of misinformation. There's
Mhm.
Exactly.
a lot of bullshit that we're trying to sort through. I literally okay, video game moment real quick because I was watching a playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 2, and there is a segment in the game, spoilers for anybody who hasn't played Metal Gear Solid 2. Basically, the main one of the main villains of the game is this AI that was created by a shadow government. And this AI goes on to say, in 2002, mind you, the exact reality that we live in today, where information is plentiful, it is readily available, and nobody can sort what is important anymore.
Mhm.
It is so telling that just like the things that we care about, the things that we are putting weight on and straining to like deal with, nobody can tell anymore what needs our attention because it all needs our attention.
Yeah.
And the things that are
And I
actually
yeah.
important slip through the cracks.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think what you were saying about more than ever, we need a community and we need to feel like we have each other's backs. And we can't do that with COVID-19 and having to the distance. But also, you go online and instead of seeing people helping one another, instead of there being this amazing leadership, and instead of there being, wow, all these advances in medicine, and look at like all, for example, just something small, like all the hairdressers can't work right now. So there's
Mhm.
large amounts of money going out to like all good news. There's nothing but bad news. There's nothing but, this group of people hates this group of people, and people are pissed at this person and this, and you won't believe what the president did now. And it just makes you feel sick and you're alone. And so I don't think I have been dealing with depression. I think I've been just grossed out by so much that like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think it was
That's a mood.
hard to do the podcast because for me anyway, I went away, I went out of state for a while and then I came back and it was like, how do you give more? Like, how do we put out more when there's already so much noise? What can we
Yeah.
possibly say right
Yeah.
now that is going to be helpful at all to anyone?
We especially like honestly to ourselves because that was one of the things that kept me. You went away for the time to, and I was like, I
Yeah,
was
2
glad that
weeks,
you
yeah.
were finally able to get away and like remove yourself from this. Imagine my hands wildly gesturing. Um, and like I wanted so badly to do the same. I couldn't. And like the only thing that I would do was attempt to remove myself mentally, emotionally. Uh I I couldn't I couldn't fathom the idea of having any more care for anything. And
You
that
went into survival
was
mode.
I went full on survival mode. And like worst of all was I think we've discussed this previously on the podcast, but I don't, how do I put this? I have always lived with a strong purpose of I need a reason. Like even when I was a kid, I didn't just do things. I would never answer, I don't know, when I did something. I had a purpose. I had a goal in mind and I had direction. I've always had that. And now for the first time, I would say ever, I wake up every morning and I genuinely ask myself why. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm waking up every day. I don't know why I'm getting up. I don't know why I take a shower. I don't know why I exist. And I don't know why I need to keep existing. I don't see a reason for it. I see a lot of hopelessness. I see a lot of helplessness. And I see a lot of pain and misery surrounding me at all times. And it is frustrating beyond the shadow of a doubt to hit this point in my life where like things are going well for me. I feel like things are going well in a lot of areas in my life. I'm doing a lot of things that I'm very proud of to an extent. I'm doing a lot of things that I feel good about, but they're fleeting and they're temporary and they have no weight to them. They have no purpose. And even trying to like tell myself, "Hey, the purpose is what I make of it," or attempting to adopt this kind of absurdist point of view of, well, I have to imagine Sisyphus happy. I have to imagine that the pointlessness, the sheer existing for existence's sake, that's fine. That's okay. I could keep doing that. But I'm having a really hard time coming to grips with that
Yeah.
Mhm.
idea is really how I need to live my life. So,
Yeah, I think I felt that way a lot in my early and mid 20s just because like I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what my purpose was, but I didn't feel like it was available or accessible
mhm,
for me. And that is what threw me into such a deep dark place because I was like I want to do this thing. I know I can do this thing, but my health, my body is holding me back, my situation is holding me back. And now for me, I know that that's not true.
yeah.
I know that it can happen and is happening for me. But sometimes I do have moments where I'm like, "Ah," and I don't know, it's not easy.
It's not. And I mean, the hardest part for me is like how how easy it is for me to talk about that because
Mm.
for most people, those thoughts, those feelings, they're uncomfortable. The
Mhm.
Yeah.
idea of a lack of purpose, the idea of non-existence,
The void.
the void, the call of the void.
Yeah.
It's never been more strong in me except for lately. And that's the thing. I obviously I'm not suicidal. gonna get that out of the way because I know people worry about that. I'm not suicidal. I'm not anywhere near suicidal. On a suicide scale, I'm like a 5 out of 10. So it's like no big. It's not gonna happen. But it's definitely a point of I don't everything I've done with vision, and I'm blind. I'm completely blind now. And everybody can see from me from the outside, and I put on the mask. I do the song and dance, and I make myself seem human. But it's not it's something that's slipping a lot. I
You've been
can't
keeping yourself super busy too, like over the
Mhm.
top weekends at the office kind of situation.
Yeah, because that's my coping mechanism is if I'm busy trying to give myself purpose, like if I'm busy trying to inventory things, like absolutely, like I'm trying to do things constantly that I look back and I go, "Wow, that's shitty." Like
Really?
I'm doing things where I'm like burying myself in as
Mm,
much like low low effort, high brain activity work as I
yeah.
possibly can. I'm doing math for fuck's sake.
Ugh.
I know,
Ew.
right? Ew, gross. And like I'm sitting here like I've got on my desk in front of me right now, besides my computer stuff, I've got 3 small electric devices that I am going to take apart after we're done with the podcast. I'm going to take them apart. Why? Cuz they're old and I want to know what's inside them. That's what I am doing to busy myself. Is like
Mm.
taking shit apart, looking at them, learning as much as I can about things that I will absolutely never need ever again in my life. At least as far as I know. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe one day I will need to save the world with a sharp electronics whatever the fuck this is. What is this? Hang on. It is a sharp electronics uh quick reference guide. It's literally like a
Perfect.
phone thing from
Perfect.
friggin' like 1998. It's
Wow.
so stupid. But it's what I'm doing. It's how I'm getting by. It's how I'm
And I
coping.
think that's something that we have to remember as humans is there was this thing sold to us a long time ago, which was you need to be happy. And if you don't have happiness and you don't have, like abundant joy constantly every day, then there's something wrong with your life, then there's something wrong with you and you need to fix it. And I think nobody obviously gets taught how to deal with pandemics, quarantine, obvious racism and horror in the world. And so whatever you're doing to cope right now, um, I think is the right thing. And possibly you can do things that will even enhance that further. And that might not be a healthy thing on a day-to-day 24/7 basis while times are normal, but I just feel like right now you need to find what works, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially those of us who are dealing with, different chemicals with serotonin and depression, anxiety, any mental health issues, it's already something that we're having to handle and deal with. What were you gonna say, New Hollow?
I was gonna say that survival is an accomplishment, and the reason I say that is like so much of my 20s was just spent surviving, just spent coping, whether it was maladaptive daydreaming, constant writing, whatever, video games, whatever binge, even if it was kind of unhealthy, porn, whatever,
Mhm.
like it kept me alive, and that means something because I'm still here.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Uh,
I spent 12 hours yesterday playing Fallout New Vegas. It was actually really nice.
Wow,
It was really nice.
I fall into very intense daydreaming for long periods of time.
I love
That
daydreaming.
sounds nice.
Like, just kind of gone for a while, and it can be nice, and then you kind of feel sleepy, like you fell asleep, and then you realize that haven't gotten anything accomplished.
Mm.
But has it brought you
So
a sense of, like, comfort for that time? Or just, like
I think so. I think well, I also think it's a lot and it's not supposed to be good for you, but disassociation. I'm very, very, very good at disassociation
Mm,
without realizing I'm disassociating. And I think it's coming back pretty intensely.
mhm.
Um, there's been a lot of personal huge changes as well that were difficult and painful that are ongoing.
Aw.
um, you know,
Mm.
and I think any big change during this time is crap, unless it's a good change. If it's like a friendship ending, a job ending, and any kind of big change that's stressful, it's going to just be tenfold. So if you guys can avoid that, I recommend keeping steady.
Mm.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So, Chris, we heard about your survival of throwing yourself into work and just having to acknowledge the fact that things feel pointless right now and kind of ridiculous, and you're trying to find yourself in that. What do you think is going to help you get through that? And do you think you will?
Well, it's funny. Also, I hope you can hear my stomach growling. That was really loud. Um, the last time that I had a major, like, life change, which also included, like, a philosophy change and everything. This philosophy change that I've been going through, this kind of existential nihilism kick, um, it's not the best. Before it was, a really positive outlook change where it was full of hope and potential and knowing, well, it's okay because it's not gonna be forever. Whereas now, it feels very much like it's going to be forever. Breaking out of this kind of thought pattern is insanely difficult. It's looking into the void, reaching out and grabbing a handhold in complete darkness, uh, when the room is 10 miles wide and 10 miles deep. Like,
Hmm.
I I can reach for quite a while and hope I grab something, but I have no idea what, I have no idea when, I have no idea where. I have tried exploring options. I one of the things that I've been facing the most, that's been the most difficult by far, is this has forced me also to come to grips with my codependency issues.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, this is fun times.
sorry, that was my chair. Sorry if you hear squeaking.
No, that's fine. That's fine. The codependency has really, like, come to the forefront because now, I've been single and honestly not dating anybody for, like, 2 years. Um, that is one of the longest times that I've gone in my life without being in a committed relationship or even attempting a committed relationship. Uh, and now for the first time, I'm having to rely on myself, rely on me to be the person who gets to be my counterbalance because that is what I have always required. I've
Hmm.
always required somebody to pull me back because I can't see the forest for the trees
Right, you
sometimes.
can't self-regulate
Yeah.
Mm.
in that way. Yeah, I get
No,
it.
I'm horrible at it. I need to be able to rely on somebody to just go, "Hey, it's okay. You can stop now." I don't have
And
that.
and the friendships don't really work with that, do you think?
No, not even a little. That's the hard that's the shitty part about this is my codependency is purely romantic. It
Mhm.
is my friendships are my friendships and they keep me sane and they keep me level-headed to a degree. Um but I've had a number of friendships in the past, fail and fall through, things that the people that I have long trusted, long depended on, to help and bring me back from the point of no return. I have some now, like both of you are part of that kind of like bring me back friend groups. Uh,
Mm.
but this is on a different level. This is on that level that the majority of my life has been, I don't want to say obsessed with, but that's really the best word for it. I've I've searched for like love, and that's not a thing that tangibly exists. It's not
Hmm.
like justice that doesn't tangibly exist. I can't find a single molecule of that. I'm trying to find a single molecule of love, and I know that it's abundant. I know that it's out there. Um, I feel empty without it. And I love my friends. I love my family, but I don't romantically have that. And
Mhm.
it's it's definitely, I described it to a friend the other day. I have I have a lot that I want to do in my life, and a lot of it I want to do with someone.
Mm.
And ultimately, I don't know. I think the biggest obstacle is I I mean, I absolutely don't feel worthy of it, and that'll keep me from finding it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Romance in the pandemic is not gonna it's not like a thing. I feel like it's a movie. So,
Ro-
New Hollow, you're somebody who, I mean, you haven't had a, I think, you haven't been dating in a few years either, but you're somebody who's very independent, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm practically a nun. Like, the most important relationship to me is the relationship with myself and
Mm-hmm.
with the universe and with life. And I it didn't seem like that would be something that would completely fulfill me, but like once I realized that that was what was for me, at least like now, I don't know if I could change in the future. I don't know. It just changed everything because I realized like, oh, okay, like that's my thing and that's what's important for me right now. And yeah, it doesn't stop 50 guys a day from trying to ask me out,
Trying to video chat?
trying to video chat with me. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm just not, I don't think I'm wired for that. I just want to work on me, and I want to be here for my kittens, and I want to work on my art, and I want to keep witnessing my evolution and my expansion, and I want to see what I can do in the world when I am focused.
How has your depression been during the quarantine and pandemic?
Um it's really only, I think for me it's mostly like situational triggers. Like, I just wish that I had my own space where I could not only like just work on my stuff in peace, but like not have like any negative energy around me. Like, I have loud neighbors. I have, there's just so many things that especially when I'm PMSing. Like, it's really only when I'm PMSing when I get depressed.
Mm-hmm.
That really, it's really fucks me up. Like, it knocks me off my feet when I PMS, and my worldview gets very dark, and I'm angry and and bloated. It's just like, so I have to just hunker down and be like, okay, this is going to be a thing until my stupid period comes. So what can I do to get through it? And sometimes all I can do to get through it is either, be a workaholic, which is normal for me, work myself constantly on all my different projects. Or, sometimes I just feel so numb. I'm like, I just have to lay back in my reclining chair, put on some YouTube, watch shit, and play on my phone all day. And that sometimes is what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
How about yours, Linz? How have you been? Depression, anxiety? I know you've been disassociating a lot, but
Yeah, I feel like a helium balloon. I think it was interesting the other day I was at work in a job that I like and surrounded by people that I was enjoying and working on something that I actually really have been having fun with. And I got a full-blown body panic attack, which I haven't had, I don't know, years, years. And it was the kind where it's not just like your heart races, it was suddenly I just couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. I was like, and then of course your first thought is, "Oh my god, I have COVID-19 and it's just hitting me
Mm.
now while I'm at work, surrounded by people I love." You know, and then I realized that my hands were cold and that I was feeling like I was gonna pass out, and I don't even know what triggered it. And that's what's so frustrating for me is when I just feel so disconnected from myself. I don't usually there's a word or somebody said something or a thought came to me and or a situation I'm just really uncomfortable with, but I wasn't. It was in a fairly cozy dark room with people I really like, so I don't even know where that came from. And I just had I and it was I was almost nonverbal. I couldn't one of my friends was trying to take me to lunch and I was like, I couldn't come up with I don't know the air for it or whatever. And I kept feeling like I'm dying. And that's always the worst feeling when you have a panic. You just feel like you
Mm.
are having a heart attack. You are dying. And I don't know where it came from. My depression, I I've been pretty good in terms of that. I adopted a beautiful cat. I have a good
Mm.
partner, and I feel like that has been really bolstering my mood. And I think I talked with you guys in the podcast about losing a really important friendship, and lately I've just really felt a lot of love from the support my friendship group. So I don't feel like I've just been dropped by everyone, which is something that I've experienced in the past. And so in my own way, my little community, I feel very held, if that makes sense. But I do feel like I've lost my path or my pattern for moving forward. I feel like I'm kind of moving sideways in life, if that makes sense.
hmm
A lot of shifting and a lot of trying to like days just go by and I'm like suddenly, oh God, I haven't done laundry and I haven't done this and I haven't done that. And, you know, first thing that usually goes for me, and this is I know gross for some people, but it's hygiene. Hygiene is I just forget to shower or I forget to brush my teeth
Nope,
because I'm so
same.
out of it. Yeah. Yeah, I
hmm
feel and it's gross, but, like, suddenly it's day 4 and I haven't taken a shower and my hair doesn't get oily. I think a lot of people like, I'm just lucky that way. But look, I'm stinky, like, I sh there's only so much deodorant can do for you. Um, and it's not hygienic, it's better for you, and I always sleep better when I shower, but I don't know, it's like that kind of goes out, and then, like, somebody messages me, and I read the message, and I mean to respond to them, and then it's been a week, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I was totally meaning to message this person back." So, I've been having to force myself to, in the moment, in the very, very moment that I get a message, respond. If I read it, I have to respond. Don't open my phone if I don't have time to respond to something. Trying to keep myself present, and that has been something that I'm not doing great with. I got a lot more bad news last couple days, and I just seem to want to go everywhere but be here,
Yeah.
or be so present that I'm not thinking about other things and getting things done that need to be done, like hyper focusing on like tiny
Mm.
little things.
Oh, the hyper
Um,
focusing has been yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like just really, really focus on one, and it's like to the detriment of everything around me. Um, so I have I'm somebody who cares deeply too much and too often, and lately I just have been letting things go, and that can be good, but there's things like I just have stopped trying to make certain relationships work. I've just kind of letting the I don't know, fat of my life fall away, and I've stopped trying to force things to happen and work, and I think maybe that's a good thing, and I really don't know. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Separate the chaff from the wheat.
Yeah.
I don't chase people anymore, and that made a big
No.
difference in my life. you know,
Yeah,
I just don't have the energy for it. And it's not this whole, because there is kind of an unhealthy shadow side of that that can be like, oh well, if they don't mess with me, then I'm not going to
Yeah.
talk to them. And it's like
Yeah.
it's not about that. It's about
No.
like, I don't need to be the one every time trying to be the iron lung of this relationship. Like either it's there or it's not. And if it's not, I'm not going to chase after it because
and
that's
a
stupid.
relationship shouldn't require an iron lung. That's
Mm-hmm.
the great takeaway there. Is just like as soon as you feel like relationship is on life support, like either that relationship is doomed or it's going to get better. It doesn't need to just sit there and be hooked up to one person's machine.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can't help it, you fall into patterns. And I think especially when you're someone who has mental health or physical health issues, you tend to want to overcompensate
Yep.
in relationships because you
Absolutely.
can't do the other things, right? And so then you
Mhm.
start almost seeking these relationships where it's like, well, that's the normal, right? Because normal people go out and do this, so I have to do this to go out of my way to make sure they know that I care about them or whatever. And
Yeah.
then it's like this really unhealthy dynamic. And so I've come to a place where like, yeah, I have friends in my life now. The only friends I have are people who also will reach out of the blue and check on me and vice versa.
Mhm.
Um, and now, especially friendship dynamics have had to change because we can't hang out, we can't see each other. So what do we do to make each other feel heard, special, cared about, supported, etc.?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Honestly, like it's good to recognize who is really important in our lives. That is one of the things that has gone kind of well throughout this whole horrible time we're all in. It's just like, yeah, here are the people who mean a lot to us. We should keep them
Yeah.
close.
And you really find out, and it's interesting. I really thought there were some people I would hear from during this time, and I haven't. I was like,
Mm.
wow, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've also gotten to a place, thank God, I've stopped taking it personally. I've just
Yeah,
you
that's the
can't,
hard part.
right?
Yeah, seriously.
You have to get good at listening because like my brain will be like, ah, they don't like me anymore, and I have to just listen to that and go, okay, hold on. You don't know that. You're making that up. They're probably just dealing with their own shit. They're probably
Mhm.
scared. They are not as resilient as you
Mhm.
in a time like this. And it's not about you. Not everything
That's
is
the
about
big
you.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to fall into that trap of worrying that it's something you did or something you said or
Mhm.
any number of things that, that's absolutely like some sort of that's a type of PTSD from toxic relationships of the past.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
And that's shitty. That's shitty, guys. Don't do that to yourself. One thing that I would like to say, in terms of something that has also really helped me, we touched earlier on how the internet is so fucking horrible right now. Um, I have specifically made accounts on places that I go to, like often, like Reddit and stuff like that, where I just go, okay, everything negative gone. This is only cute animal pictures and funny things.
It's a good
This is
idea.
my no bummer account, and that is where
That's
I'm going to go
fantastic.
to, so I can make sure that this place right here, nothing bad's going to happen here, because I'm also not going to look at the comments. I'm just looking at the content. No bummer zone. Boom.
Mhm.
Create one
I
for
love it.
yourself. If you are a person like me who loves going on Reddit, but oh boy, I can't deal with having this many horrible things being talked about all at once. Here you go. No bummer account. Make one.
I love that.
Get rid of Facebook.
I love that.
Just keep Messenger. Get rid of your Facebook. If you need
Truth.
to talk to people, get rid of Facebook. Just keep Messenger. Whatever. Just delete the app from your phone.
Yes.
It's perfect.
What's one piece of advice that you have, Nuhala?
Um, Hmm. Eh, It's hard to have hope and to have faith that things are going to work out when you see how horrible um, people are acting and how self absorbed so many people are revealed to be. But um, gosh, I don't even know what to say. It's like you can't. I am so much at peace with just being like a jellyfish, you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
going wherever life takes me and not resisting. And I know that's a skill, and that's something that you have to learn and practice at. So I think it's really important to be kind with yourself wherever you are, because if you are having a bad day and you just judge yourself and go, well, I don't like feeling this way, it's bad, I shouldn't be feeling this way, that's a judgment still. So instead of being like, well, I shouldn't feel this way, get rid of the word should, could, would, and all of that stuff. It's not useful to you. So instead you have to approach it like it's almost like reparenting myself. That has been
yes,
really good. So if I am having that bad day and it's just a bunch of nasty triggers and childhood wounds and you know things like that, I have to be like, okay, what did little new not get when she was in pain, when she needed help, when she needed love? And how can I give that to myself? So, my goal as an adult has been to give my child self everything she ever wanted. And doing that has changed my life. My room is pink and cute and full of all my little favorite action figures and toys and lamb chop,
I
and
love it.
it is so it feels like I'm painting my soul on the outside of my environment, and it's really great because I step into my room and it's like sacred. I'm like, okay, pink, we're back, like this is me. So I think it's really important to try to make that space for yourself, even if you don't like have a room to yourself and you can't make a cave. Even if you make a bath time ritual, get some candles, put on something
Yeah,
um to listen to while you take a bath, like anything you can do to make like a sacred time just for you is really important.
I think
Linz,
I
what have
would
you
like to
been?
add on to that. Yeah, to add on to that, I think find time to play.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
find time to play. If it's a video game, if it's being playful with your friends in a different dynamic, like there's tabletop games and stuff. If it's giving yourself the excuse to just try something new in a playful way, like
Mhm.
I've never thought about trying this hobby. Maybe I'll just buy a little starter pack and give it a shot. Like give yourself playtime. We need that.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's perfect.
Yeah, explorative playtime.
On that note, this has been, I think, the longest episode that we've ever done of the podcast.
Really?
Yes. So welcome back to us.
Yes, you've gotten almost a full hour of content this episode. Uh, as for
Party.
us, follow us on Instagram at HAYHU Podcast, like the Facebook page. Send us an email if you want to message us directly. Mailbag at howareyoholdingup.com. New, what you wanna push.
I knew Hologram on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, so it would be best to follow me there. And YouTube, I have some new stuff coming out. If you just need something to watch and put on in the background, I have a lot of good videos for that. I do Let's Plays. I have cool videos where I break down Japanese pop music lyrics so I can teach you Japanese, but also share my interpretation of the music video and the song. I do all kinds of stuff. So I would say check that
Hell
out. And
yeah.
I also have, yes, I have a guided 5-minute affirmation video that I did recently. And it's all, it's I am safe is the theme, but it's really like a personal growth and personal freedom affirmations. It's really quick. It's just 5 minutes. So if you're struggling in whatever way, I would say just like put that on while you're doing yoga or while you're just sitting there while you cook breakfast, whenever. Just see if something like that works for you, because affirmations can be really good for reprogramming the way that we think about ourselves in our journey. So I would say give stuff like that a shot.
Yeah, if you're somebody who has constant negative thoughts about yourself, affirmations are indeed quite helpful. It replaces the voice repeating, you suck, you suck, you suck, go fucking die, with, you're fine, it's okay, just chill.
Yeah,
And
and
you're
like to add
rad.
on to, yeah, like, and the thing is, if you say an affirmation and you have an immediate negative response, that is your GPS telling you where the problem is. So if I say something like, um, uh, I I like myself. And my first thought is, no, I don't. I fucking hate myself because and I start going like that. Then it's like, whoa, holy shit. Like, obviously, that's a wound I need to work on. So, I think we need to not be so scared of going into our own wounds, because that's something that I hear a lot. People reach out to me for one-on-one a lot, like, how can I work on this problem, this anxiety, this worry that I have that is holding me back in life. And so I'll suggest something like affirmations, or like inner work, or inner child work. And they're like, oh, no, I can't do that, because if I go into my trauma, then I'll it'll make me worse. And it's like, well, okay, number one, I'm not a therapist, so I'm not trying to guide you through your trauma. But number two, like, you can't untangle your hair if you don't grab a comb and get in there.
True.
Nice.
So it does take work. And even if it takes a long time, like, I'm a very, very different person right now at 30 than I was at 20, when I was undiagnosed and completely traumatized and like triggered by everything left and right, and just not a realized person. And give it time. It's not going to be overnight. It's not like ayahuasca. You're not going to go, whoa, I understand now. And I get, it's going to be a slow unfolding and awakening of you, the purest you, who you were as a kid before you were conditioned by culture, by society, by your parents' trauma. And it's absolutely worth getting back to that place.
Nice.
Beautiful.
We're going to have New back soon, by the way, for
Yes.
discussion of ketamine,
Woo!
which that's going to be a fun one.
I can't wait. I want my next infusion.
Yes, it's going to be so good when you can finally get it. But that does it for us. Thank you all so much for listening and your patience. I know that we've been gone for a while. We're going to do our best to get back on track.
You guys are great. We appreciate all the responses, the messages that we've been getting in our absence. And I hope that you guys just keep going and find time to play. And as always,
Don't
Don't
tell
tell
us
us
to
to just
just
get
get
over
over
it.
it.